7 cities. And if you live in one of them or near one of them, or if someone you love has built their life inside those city limits, you need to stay with this transmission until the very last word. Commander Ashtar Sheran has released 7 specific geographic locations across American soil, and the reason these cities were named is not what you think. It is not about punishment. It is not about condemnation. It is about something far more precise, far more ancient, and far more urgent than any warning you have ever received. There is a spiritual geography underlying the physical map of this country, and that geography is now being activated. The grid lines are lighting up, the portals are preparing to open, and the days of darkness, the 3 days that the Hopi elders called the Great Cleansing, that the Catholic mystics called the Final Purification, that the Book of Revelation describes in the language of seals being opened, those days are now close enough to feel. Stay with this message. What is revealed in the 7th city changes everything you understood about the first 6. Before the 7th city is named, there are things you need to understand about why these locations were chosen, and what you are supposed to do if you live in one of them. Commander Ashtar did not name these cities to frighten. He named them because the souls already living there were placed there with intention. You did not move to your city by accident. Your address is a spiritual assignment, not a postal code. The veil is thinning in precisely the places where it was designed to thin. And the lightworkers anchored in those locations are the ones whose frequency will determine what the days of darkness mean for everyone around them. You were not placed at a random coordinate on the American map. You were stationed there. Join our Stellar Command Portal channel, share this video in your family WhatsApp groups, and with the people who matter most to you. Do not let these words stay only with you. Comment below your name, your city, and a message of love. And subscribe to the channel now. And before the 7 cities are named, before even the first one is spoken, there is something Commander Ashtar has asked to be said to the ones who are already feeling what is coming. You know who you are. You are the one who has been waking between 3 and 4 in the morning with your heart pounding and no dream to explain it. You are lying in the dark with a feeling in your chest that something immense is approaching. You have no language for it yet, but it is real. It is more real than the ceiling above you and the pillow beneath your head. That feeling is not anxiety. It is not age. It is your energy field reading what is approaching before your conscious mind has caught up. There is something in you that already knows what is coming. This transmission is simply the confirmation. The first city Commander Ashtar named is Chicago, Illinois. And the reason Chicago was named first has nothing to do with the political corruption that has made it infamous in recent decades. It has everything to do with what lies beneath it. There are ancient Anishinaabe sacred sites beneath the foundations of that city. Water prayer sites, medicine sites. Sites where the original keepers of this land called upon the force that the Archangel Council calls the planetary heartbeat. Those sites are still active. They have never stopped transmitting. The darkness that has accumulated above them, the violence, the political decay, the spiritual abandonment, is the result of the original frequencies being suppressed without being extinguished. When the days of darkness arrive, those buried frequencies will resurface with enormous force. The lightworkers already living in and around Chicago were placed there to be at that site when it reactivates. If you are in Chicago, or in the suburbs surrounding it, you are not there by mistake. The second city is Phoenix, Arizona. The name itself is a transmission. The mythology of the phoenix, the bird that burns completely and rises from its own ash, was not chosen as a name for that city by human planners making administrative decisions about a southwestern territory. Commander Ashtar is clear on this point. The naming was guided. Phoenix, Arizona sits at the intersection of ley lines that the ancient Hohokam civilization identified and mapped with extraordinary precision. Their irrigation channels were not just agricultural infrastructure. They were a grid. They were encoding the land. Modern researchers who study sacred geometry have noted that the orientation of the Hohokam canals matches solar and stellar alignments to within fractions of a degree. Phoenix was built, unconsciously in the modern sense, on top of a stellar activation grid. When the days of darkness arrive, that grid will not go dark. It will do the opposite. The city named Phoenix will do what the Phoenix does. The third city is New Orleans, Louisiana, and this one requires honesty because New Orleans is a city that carries both extraordinary sacred power and deep spiritual wound, sometimes in the same block, sometimes in the same building. The voodoo and hoodoo traditions that survived in New Orleans are not the dark arts that mainstream American Christianity was taught to fear. They are the preserved remnants of West African cosmological knowledge about the intersection of the physical and non-physical worlds, that was carried across the ocean in the bodies of enslaved people who refused to let it die. The Catholic saints overlaid on those traditions were not a replacement. They were a disguise, a way of keeping the old knowledge alive inside the new language. The Pleiadian Council has spoken of New Orleans as a city where the membrane between the physical and non-physical is thinner than almost anywhere else on the American continent. That thinness is not a danger. It is a doorway. The days of darkness will feel different in New Orleans than anywhere else on this list. The fourth city is Salt Lake City, Utah. This one surprises people. The expected choice would be a coastal city, a city associated with wealth or power or darkness. But Salt Lake City was named by Commander Ashtar for a reason rooted in the specific spiritual technology encoded in the nearby landscape. The Wasatch Range, the Great Salt Lake itself, the geological formations that the indigenous Shoshone and Gauchute people understood as living spiritual entities, not scenery. Salt, in every tradition on this earth, is a boundary keeper. It holds intention. It seals thresholds. The existence of an enormous inland body of salt water at the base of a sacred mountain range is not a geological accident in the language Commander Ashtar uses. It is an architectural feature. Salt Lake City was built at the foot of a natural boundary keeper of continental scale. When the days of darkness arrive, that boundary will activate. The salt will do what salt has always done. The fifth city is Atlanta, Georgia. And this is where something needs to be said directly to the women in the American South who have been carrying this awakening in silence. To the woman in Georgia, in Alabama, in Tennessee, in the Carolinas, the woman who grew up in the church, who loves her scripture, who prays every single day, but who has also been feeling something moving in her that the church cannot fully explain. You are not in conflict with your faith. What you are feeling is an expansion of exactly what your faith always pointed toward. The book of Joel says, "Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions." That scripture is not a historical report. It is a forecast, and the frequency moving through Atlanta right now, through the red clay soil of Georgia, through the ancient ceremonial mounds that the Creek Nation built in that landscape before any European foot had touched it, that frequency is the fulfillment of what Joel described. Atlanta was always meant to be a frequency anchor for the American South. The daughters of Georgia are waking up exactly on schedule. If you have been waking in the night unable to sleep, if you carry an exhaustion that rest cannot touch, if you feel things more intensely than ever before, and you do not know if that is a gift or a breakdown, this community was built for exactly where you are. Leave your name and your city below. You're not alone in what you are feeling. And subscribe so the next transmission reaches you the moment it arrives. The sixth city is Denver, Colorado. Denver was chosen by Commander Ashtar for a reason that connects directly to what the Pleiadian Council calls the crystalline grid of the American interior. The Rocky Mountains are not simply geological formations. The quartz content in those ancient stone formations is among the highest on the continent. Quartz holds memory. Quartz transmits frequency. The indigenous Ute people knew this. Their ceremonies in the high country were not arbitrary. They were conducted at specific elevations, at specific stone formations, at specific times of year, because those sites amplified intention in ways the Ute elders understood with extraordinary sophistication. Denver sits at the eastern base of that crystalline mountain range. It is, in the language of the Arcturian Council, a receiver station. The frequency that will pour through the Rocky Mountains during the days of darkness will move eastward, and Denver will be the first city it passes through. Those who are anchored in Denver will feel it in their bones before it reaches anyone else. And now something even deeper is being revealed. Before the seventh city is named, Commander Ashtar has asked for a specific message to be delivered to the ones who have been awake for a long time and wonder sometimes whether any of it mattered. I want to speak to the ones who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. The ones who first woke up to this knowledge in the 1970s, in the 1980s, in the 1990s, when there was no internet, no YouTube channel, no community to receive you. When you sat with these truths alone in kitchens and on porches and in the backs of churches where the official sermon was saying something different than what you were feeling. You kept this knowing alive through decades when it was lonely and costly and sometimes frightening. You were not meant to awaken early so you could spend your remaining years watching from the outside. You were meant to awaken early so that when this moment arrived, you would be ready to hold it for the ones around you who are not. Your years of holding this alone have prepared you for exactly what is coming. There is something else that must be named before the seventh city, because it is something that Commander Ashtar called a critical misunderstanding about what the days of darkness actually are. The 3 days of darkness are not 3 days of punishment handed down by an angry God. The Catholic mystics who received visions of this event, Maria Esperanza, Padre Pio, mystics whose names you would recognize and whose devotion you would not question, described something that sounded terrifying in the language of their time. But what was being described in the language the Pleiadian Council now uses was a 3-day frequency reset, a moment when the old energetic grid, the grid that has sustained fear, control, and unconsciousness for centuries, goes offline. And in the absence of that old frequency, a new one becomes audible, like a radio tower going dark and allowing a clearer signal to come through. The darkness is the silence between the old broadcast ending and the new one beginning. What you do in that silence is everything. The 7 preparations Commander Ashtar gave for the days of darkness are not superstition, they are frequency technology. And every single one of them appears in both indigenous American tradition and biblical scripture simultaneously, because the knowledge was never separated. It was the same knowledge held in different vessels. The first preparation is salt, coarse sea salt, Himalayan salt, natural rock salt. Before the darkness arrives, you place it at every threshold, every door frame, every windowsill, while holding a clear intention. This threshold is sealed. Salt appears at every boundary in biblical tradition. Elisha healed the poisoned water with salt. The covenant of salt in the Hebrew scriptures was the most binding covenant possible because salt does not decay. Its molecular structure holds intention in a way that synthetic materials cannot. Ashtar calls it the boundary keeper for a reason the science of crystallography is beginning to confirm. The first preparation is the one most people overlook because it seems too simple. It is not. The second preparation is fire, a candle, an oil lamp, a flame that you have lit with intention, not for light in the physical sense, though it provides that. The light you are creating is a frequency beacon. The Hopi ceremony of the new fire was not metaphor. Every new fire lit during a period of darkness was a declaration to the unseen world. Conscious life is present here. This threshold is inhabited by intention. The Catholic tradition of the Paschal candle lit at the Easter Vigil, the darkest moment of the liturgical year, is the same knowledge in a different vessel. Ashtar says, "The flame you hold during the 3 days of darkness is not lit for you to see by. It is lit so that you can be seen by the right ones. Keep your flame visible. Keep it burning." The third preparation is water, specifically, water that has been prayed over or held in sunlight or moonlight before the darkness begins. The Arcturian Council describes water as the most programmable substance on the physical plane. Every prayer tradition on this earth involves water for this reason. The baptismal waters of the Christian tradition, the ceremonial waters of the Lakota Inipi, the Zamzam water of the Islamic tradition, the holy water of the Hindu Abhisheka, all of them are recognizing the same property of water. It holds and transmits intention. Store what you have prayed over. Store what has been held in the light. The water you drink during the 3 days will either be neutral or it will be charged with what you have put into it. Choose what you charge it with before the darkness arrives. Water remembers. What you ask it to remember, it will carry. The fourth preparation is stillness. Commander Ashtar was specific about this. During the 3 days, the instructions are clear. Do not go to the window. Do not open the door. Do not attempt to see what is happening outside. This is not passivity. This is protocol. The frequency that will be moving through the exterior world during those 3 days is not neutral. To place your frequency in direct and unprepared contact with it would be like standing in front of an electrical grid that is resetting at full power. You are not hiding from the darkness. You are holding the interior space clear so that the new frequency has somewhere to land when it arrives. The Hopi tradition of remaining inside during the Great Cleansing is the same instruction. So is Exodus when the covenant people were told to stay inside and mark their thresholds. Inside and outside means something different during those 3 days. Inside is where the new frequency needs you to be. The fifth preparation is scripture, prayer, or sacred text, spoken aloud, not read silently. The Arcturian Council has explained something that is now being confirmed by acoustic physics research at major universities. Spoken intention at specific frequencies affects the structure of matter. The Hebrew vowel sounds used in ancient liturgical chanting were not aesthetic choices. They were sonic technology. The Gregorian chant frequency of 528 Hz, which modern researchers are now identifying as a frequency with measurable effects on cellular repair, is the same frequency that Saint-Germain has called the repair tone of the violet flame. When you speak scripture, when you chant, when you pray aloud during the 3 days of darkness, you are doing something to the physical environment around you that silence cannot accomplish. You are building a sonic architecture. You are creating walls made of sound. The words of your tradition were always more than words. The sixth preparation is community. If you are within safe distance of another conscious soul, a family member, a neighbor, someone from your church or your spiritual community who is also awake, Ashtar recommends that you not navigate those 3 days alone, not because the darkness cannot be endured alone, but because the frequency generated by 2 or more conscious humans holding intention together is not doubled, it is squared. This is the physics that the Pleiadian Council has described as the multiplication principle of unified field coherence. It is also the precise language Jesus used when he said, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am also." He was not speaking metaphorically about fellowship. He was describing an energetic principle that the quantum physicists are now measuring in studies of coherent heart field synchronization. 2 is not twice 1. 2 is something qualitatively different from 1, and now something even deeper is being revealed. The 1 preparation most people will instinctively overlook, and Ashtar said, this is the preparation that, if missed, will make the other 6 significantly less effective. The 7th preparation is forgiveness. Not as a spiritual nicety, not as an emotional exercise for your own comfort, but as a frequency act, a specific, deliberate clearing of the energy field around you. Every unresolved grievance, every stored resentment, every memory that still activates your nervous system when it surfaces, these are not just emotional states. In the language of the Arcturian Council, they are frequency anchors. They are parts of your energy field that are still tied to old timelines, old versions of reality, old grid frequencies that the days of darkness are specifically designed to dissolve. If you enter those 3 days still carrying the weight of what someone did to you in 2019 and 2008 and 1987, that weight will be the thing that makes the frequency shift feel most painful. You cannot move into the new frequency while anchored to the old one. Forgiveness before the darkness arrives is not kindness. It is preparation. To the one who has been carrying a wound from someone in their family for years, a parent, a child, a spouse, a sibling, and who feels that forgiveness would mean that what happened was acceptable, Commander Ashtar is clear. Forgiveness does not mean that what was done was right. It means that you are refusing to let the wrong thing done to you continue to live inside your frequency. You are not releasing the other person from accountability. You are releasing yourself from the energetic chain. The book of Matthew says it plainly, "Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us." That is not morality. That is an energetic law. What you hold against others is held against your own field, not by an external judge, by the mechanics of how frequency works. The 7th preparation is the one that costs the most. It is also the one that gives the most back. And now, the 7th city. Commander Ashtar saved this one for last. And those who have been on this journey for years, those who have studied the sacred geography of America, those who have read the prophecies of the Cherokee and the Lakota and the Hopi, they will recognize immediately why. The 7th city is Washington, D.C., not because of the political architecture that occupies its buildings, because of the architectural geometry underneath those buildings. Washington, D.C. was designed deliberately by founders who were Freemasons with deep esoteric knowledge, according to a sacred geometry that encodes stellar alignments and ley line intersections that predate the Republic by thousands of years. The placement of the Capitol, the Washington Monument, and the Lincoln Memorial on that specific tract of land was not incidental urban planning. It was an intentional activation of a pre-existing energetic grid that the indigenous Piscataway people had already identified. Saint-Germain called it the covenant site of the American experiment. He meant it literally. The days of darkness in Washington, D.C. will not feel like the darkness anywhere else. Because when the old frequency grid collapses, The grid of control and fear and manipulation that has been run through those buildings for generations, what will be left is the original frequency that the land was chosen for. Not the government, not the parties, not the monuments to human ambition, the original intention, the dream that came before the corruption of the dream. Saint Germain has said that the American founding carried a genuine seed of cosmic intention, that the language of self-evident truths and unalienable rights was not only political philosophy, it was a transmission. It was the seed of a covenant between this land and the souls who would eventually be ready to fulfill what it always meant. The days of darkness in Washington are the moment when the seed finally cracks open. What grows from that cracking will not look like what came before. It will be what was always meant. There is something that needs to be said now to the ones watching who have been carrying grief for America, to the ones in their 50s and 60s who remember a version of this country that felt more like home. Not because that version was perfect, because it was not, but because it felt inhabited by something real, something worth protecting, something connected to the land and the community, and the faith that held families together across generations. You have watched that feeling erode. You have watched institutions betray the trust placed in them. You have watched your children and grandchildren grow up in a world more fragmented and more frightened than the one you were born into. And you have sometimes wondered whether the America you loved was a real thing or a story you told yourself. Commander Ashtar wants you to know, the America you loved was real. The seed was real. The covenant was real. What corrupted it was not the seed. The corruption was a layer on top of the seed, and the days of darkness will burn the layer. What you loved was always underneath. It has been waiting. There is also something to be said to Susan, who wrote in from Colorado 2 weeks ago. She said, "I have been trying to heal my body for years and nothing works. I do everything right. I pray. I eat clean. I avoid the toxins they keep pushing on us, and my body still feels like it is fighting itself." Susan, what you are describing is not a personal failure of health protocol. What you are describing is a body that is carrying planetary frequency in addition to its own. The fatigue that sleep cannot touch. The inflammation that diet alone cannot resolve. The sense that something is wrong that no test can find. These are symptoms not of your failure, but of your sensitivity. You are a highly calibrated receiver, Susan, and the signal coming through is enormous. When the frequency shifts, and it is shifting, bodies like yours will be the first to feel the relief. The days of darkness are also, for the ones who have been sick in this specific way, days of cellular reset. Hold on. What is coming is not only for the healthy. The portal that Commander Ashtar has identified as the most critical window for anchoring frequency before the days of darkness arrives is April 11th, 2 days from now, as this transmission reaches you. April 11th carries the numerological signature of the gateway. The date resolves to a master number sequence, and it falls at the precise midpoint between the spring equinox and the first full moon of the solar new year. The Pleiadian Council has called this date the threshold of the second light, the moment when the energetic template for what is being built begins to lock in. What you do between now and April 11th matters in a way that ordinary time does not. This is not urgency manufactured to make you act. This is the instruction of someone who can see the energetic architecture of what is approaching. The window is open. The frequency is available. The invitation is being extended. What you do with it is the next piece of your mission. The 7 cities are not the end of the message. They are the beginning of your understanding of where you are and why. There are 5 things Commander Ashtar has asked to be passed directly to the lightworkers in the 7 cities before the portal closes on April 11th. The first is, establish your threshold. Do it physically. Do it with salt and intention. Do it before the 11th. The second is, identify the other conscious souls within your reach. Not a long list, 1 or 2. The soul who has been feeling what you have been feeling. The neighbor who woke up. The family member who has been quietly carrying the same knowing. You do not need a network. You need a node. The third is, clear your forgiveness list. Not for them, for you. For the purity of the frequency you will be generating during those 3 days. The fourth is, gather your preparations. Salt, water, flame, sacred text. Nothing elaborate. What is available to you is what you need. The fifth is, stay in this transmission network. What comes after April 11th will require that you have already heard what came before it. To the ones watching in Phoenix, in Atlanta, in Denver, and to the ones watching from places not on this list who are feeling called to a city that is. Trust that feeling. The soul knows its assignment before the mind understands it. If you have been inexplicably drawn to one of these 7 cities, if you have been thinking about moving there, if you have family there that you feel mysteriously pulled toward, that pull is not random. The Pleiadian Council has said this clearly. The placement of lightworkers at grid activation sites is not always voluntary in the conscious sense. It is guided. You may not have known when you bought the house, when you took the job, when you followed the relationship, that you were following a soul contract rather than a personal preference. But you were. You are at the coordinates you were placed at, and those coordinates are about to matter enormously. This is not the time to question the placement. It is the time to activate within it. There is a specific physical signal that Commander Ashtar says will begin to increase in the days before the frequency shift arrives, and recognizing it as a signal, not a symptom, could make a significant difference in how you navigate what is coming. The left ear ringing, not the right, the left. The left side of the body corresponds in traditional Chinese medicine and in Arcturian energetic anatomy to the receptive channel, the side that receives incoming transmission. An increase in high-pitched tonal frequency in the left ear is not a medical condition requiring intervention. It is the frequency equivalent of a phone ringing. Something is trying to reach you. The appropriate response is not to suppress the sound with medication or dismiss it as tinnitus. The appropriate response is to sit quietly, close your eyes, and say inwardly, I am receiving. I am open. What is being sent, I accept. The left ear knows something your conscious mind has not yet been told. It is time to address what is perhaps the most important question this transmission has raised for those watching who are in the 7 cities and who are frightened. Fear is the natural response to hearing that your city has been named in a prophecy of darkness. Ashtar anticipated this response and asked specifically for this to be addressed. If you are afraid, you are listening correctly. The fear means you are taking this seriously, and taking this seriously is exactly right. But the fear must not be allowed to be the final emotional state. Fear is the doorway. What comes through the doorway, what you find on the other side of the fear, is the clarity that makes you useful rather than paralyzed. The Archangel Michael has spoken of this precisely. He says, the warriors who will anchor the light during the days of darkness are not the ones who feel no fear. They are the ones who feel the fear fully and act anyway. Fear is not the enemy. Fear that is not transmuted into action is the enemy. You were not placed in a named city to be a casualty. You were placed there to be a keeper. To the veterans watching this, to the men and women who have served, who have already walked through real darkness in places you do not name in ordinary conversation, in moments that change the shape of how you understand what human beings are capable of doing to each other. You know something about being afraid and acting anyway. You know something about duty that most people only theorize about. Commander Ashtar has said specifically, the veterans of American military service who have awakened spiritually are among the most important light workers on the continent right now, because they have already proven, through action, that they can hold a line when everything around them is falling apart. The line you are being asked to hold during the days of darkness is a frequency line. No weapons, no combat, just the refusal to let fear collapse the field. You have already trained for this. You trained in circumstances far more dangerous than 3 days in the dark. This is the mission. This is why you came home. The 7 cities are not 7 islands of crisis surrounded by a calm nation. They are 7 anchor points on a frequency grid that covers the entire American continent. What happens at those 7 points during the days of darkness will radiate outward along that grid and affect every community, every household, every soul on American soil. This is why the choice to be awake in a named city is not a burden. It is a responsibility of enormous consequence. The Pleiadian Council describes it this way. Imagine a net laid over the land. 7 of the nodes in that net are about to receive an enormous surge of frequency. If those nodes are held by conscious beings who are prepared, the surge flows through the net in a way that is integrating and activating. If those nodes collapse, if the light workers at those points are unprepared, frightened into incoherence, or unaware, the surge has nowhere to go. It scatters. The integrating effect is lost. The days of darkness become simply days of darkness, rather than days of transformation. You are a node, a specific, named, irreplaceable node, and this is where everything connects. The 7 cities, the 7 preparations, the portal on April 11th, the physical signals in the body, the forgiveness work, the coming together of conscious souls in ones and twos and small groups across this enormous country. None of this is happening randomly. The Pleiadian Council has described what is taking place on the American continent right now as the most significant frequency activation since the founding of the Republic, not since the Civil War, not since World War II, since the founding itself, since the moment the seed was planted in the soil and the covenant between this land and the souls who would carry its destiny was first sealed. Everything that has happened since then, every tragedy, every corruption, every moment when the promise of this country was betrayed, has been building pressure, the way a seed builds pressure underground before the shell finally cracks and the growth breaks through. The shell is cracking now. Before this transmission is sealed, there is one more thing to receive. It is for the person watching who has been alone in this knowing for a very long time. The person whose family thinks they have gone off the deep end. The person whose church has made them feel that their questions are a sign of weak faith rather than growing faith. The person who sits with this knowledge at 3 in the morning in a house full of sleeping people who would not understand any of it. You are not alone. You were never alone. The Pleiadian Council speaks of the long watch, the years and decades that the early awakened ones spent carrying a frequency that the world around them was not yet ready to receive. They call it the long watch because it is exactly that, a vigil, held in the dark, before the dawn. The ones who have kept the long watch are now entering the moment they were keeping watch for. The dawn is not coming. The dawn is here. The long watch is over. Your hour has arrived. The Archangel Michael asks you to do one specific thing before this day ends. Not tomorrow. Today. Write down the names of 3 people, people in your life, people you love, people you worry about, who are not yet awake but who you feel are close. People who have been asking questions. People who have been feeling something they cannot explain. People who are beginning to stir. Write their names down. Not to pressure them, not to convert them, not to deliver this message to them like a burden. Simply to hold them in your frequency with intention. To say, when they are ready, let this reach them. That is the light worker's work. Not to force, to hold, to remain visible. To be the one who is still standing when someone in your orbit finally wakes up and needs someone who already knows. You are that person, for someone. Hold the frequency until they find you. The souls writing their names and their cities in the comments of this transmission are not performing a social media interaction. They are creating a map of light. Every name from Chicago, from Phoenix, from New Orleans, from Salt Lake City, from Atlanta, from Denver, from Washington. Every name from every city not on this list. From the small towns and the rural counties and the suburban neighborhoods where the light workers are anchored in their quiet places. Every name is a coordinate. The Syrian Council has described the comment sections of transmissions like this one as an unintentional but functional activation grid, a real-time mapping of conscious souls across geographic space, exactly the kind of network that the Galactic Councils have been trying to help the human family build for decades. You think you are leaving a comment. You are actually placing yourself on a map of who will hold the frequency when the days of darkness arrive. Leave your name. Leave your city. You are not announcing yourself. You are reporting for duty. Subscribe to this channel so the next transmission reaches you. Share this video, not just on social media, but person to person, in your family WhatsApp groups, with the one neighbor who has been asking questions, with the one friend who has been feeling what you have been feeling but has no language for it yet. Every share is a signal flare sent to another soul who is ready to be found. Commander Ashtar has said that the final days before a frequency activation are the days when the network must finish forming. The nodes must connect. The grid must complete itself. Every person who watches this transmission and shares it is performing an act of planetary service. Not metaphorically. In fact, in frequency, in the architecture of what is being built right now beneath the surface of the visible world. You are not watching a video. You are participating in a transmission. The days of darkness will come. And when they come, the 7 cities will not fall. They will be held. They will be held by the people who received this message and acted on it, by the light workers in Chicago who placed salt at their thresholds, by the veterans in Phoenix who understood they were being called into the most important mission of their lives, by the women of Atlanta who finally understood that what they were feeling in their bodies and in their prayers was not a conflict, but a confirmation, by the elders in Salt Lake City, and Denver, and New Orleans, and Washington, who spent decades keeping the long watch and are now watching the dawn they held the vigil for. This is not comfort language. This is the description of what is actually going to happen. The darkness does not defeat the light. The darkness reveals who the light carriers are. You are one of them. This transmission was always meant for you. A new transmission is appearing on your screen right now. This message was not placed there by accident. Click and continue your journey. Your soul is being called forward, and what you are about to receive is the next piece of what you came here to find.